Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Excelsior, the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast. I'm your director, Christian Buckley, as always, wishing you a very happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you celebrate because of the release of this episode, Christmas Eve. Jack Martin, how are you doing?
Excelsior, happy holidays, and Merry Christmas. Wow, we got a Christmas episode this year. That's cool.
I know. It is themed, technically, you know. Mm-hmm. Nobody can see us, so we are, in fact, both wearing Santa hats right now, sipping on hot chocolate near fireplaces, respectively.
Yes, absolutely. This is all true.
Mm-hmm. You know, maybe this would be extra work, and it is the holidays, but maybe I throw in like a little ambient fireplace crackle in the back of this episode for the vibes. You know,
little fireside chat.
Yeah,
as FDR used to do.
Sure. Yeah. How are you doing, Jack? It's it's also the last episode we're doing for the year. We're gonna come back in 2023. But how are you looking back at the year of Marvel? We don't have to talk about Marvel's Avengers only, but year's winding down, cozying up for the holidays. How you doing? What are you thinking about with Marvel?
Not talking about Avengers is, Christian, that's the best Christmas gift anyone can give me. But I'm doing well. I'm excited to be done with this year. I'm completely off next week, which is really cool. Very much looking forward to that. Got some Switch lined up, perhaps.
Nice.
Maybe some Mario, maybe some Ocarina of Time. That's kind of my plan. But I would say Marvel within the past calendar year has been a mixed bag. Mm-hmm. That's kind of phase 4 in a nutshell, I would say. Mm-hmm. But it's been good to have a steady flow of Marvel again. So that's kind of my takeaway from this past year with Marvel. Yeah. But what about you? What's new with you?
I've had a few Marvel crises, let's say, where I feel like the boomerification of myself at times, where I'm like, maybe I'll just see the things when I see them, and then I'll show up for Spider-Man movies and Guardians movies. Maybe that's it,
Sure.
And Avengers movies, but it's so much, dude. That's the thing that I look back at this year on. It's like I feel the fatigue. All those directors were right. They were never wrong, I think.
It is a lot, and I'm kind of glad with all the shakeups going on at DC, mm-hmm. where I hope there's a healthy bit of competition coming up. Mm-hmm. in the next couple of years. That way, I'm obviously DC has been looking at what Marvel's doing, and James Gunn is taking over DC, mm-hmm. and there's probably going to be a lot of influence from that, but also hopefully some key differences where Marvel might look at DC and be like, you know what, let's do a little bit what they're doing, kind of. Mm-hmm. Let's mix it up a bit.
Yeah. Completely. I know they don't even have their plans announced yet. I know James Gunn is doing that in January, but currently just the blank slate of it and the fact that they actually have a direction they want to go in has me more excited currently about the next couple of years of what they're going to be doing compared to the next couple of years of what we know is coming for Marvel, because for me, excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. Spider-Verse next year is going to kick ass. Guardians next year is going to be awesome. And then Daredevil, I think I already said that, but Daredevil's going to be great. And then everything in between is like, yeah, this could be good, this could be bad. Either way, I wouldn't be fazed, So
I also think the highs of DC mm-hmm. can be much higher than the highs of Marvel.
Oh, for sure.
So, we got The Dark Knight. Hey, the Batman is still ongoing, which is very exciting, at least as of now. Mm-hmm. That has me very excited. Mm-hmm. So... yeah, I think the potential for DC is incredibly interesting.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So the year is down in the books, pretty much. Avengers, there is nothing really to say, but there is one thing I'll shout out. The new skin in the shop this week is Hawkeye from Avengers 1, that super washed out purple vest that he wears in Avengers 1 can now be yours in Marvel's Avengers. Are you buying it, Jack?
I'm certainly not.
Yeah,
but shout out to everyone who is.
Yeah. So over the break, I'm curious to see if there's any other things that come out about this game in the calendar year. I'm very curious to see if like Paul Tassi has any little tidbits he can drop about his outlook. Because if you recall last year, he gave out the 411 about, hey, there was supposed to be a roadmap yesterday, and now it's been 3 months. So
Yeah, I'm curious to go back into his like author profile and look at the most recent Marvel's Avengers article, because I feel like it's been quite a while,
Yeah.
and it may have been that last article that you
Yeah.
just mentioned.
yeah, because I remember journalist-wise, the people like writing stuff about this game for like big publications. I remember the two evangelists were Paul Tassi and Gene Park. Gene Park, I know, has not talked about the game for a minute. And I follow Paul Tassi's YouTube for his Destiny videos, and he did a couple Avengers ones, and there's been a couple times where he was like, I was gonna do an Avengers video, but like this Destiny thing happened, and it's still not that interesting, but I'm still gonna talk about Destiny instead. So it's kind of the
Yeah.
state of the game.
Well, one of them is an active game, and another one is a game that's trying to pretend to be active.
Yeah. So 2023, different vibes. We got a Spider-Man game to look forward to. You know, it's gonna be good. But this past week, Jack, due to the holiday season, the arrival of Christ, we celebrated by watching Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
How else could we celebrate that arrival?
I don't know. Definitely not going to church, you know?
No.
I went to my church, and the pastor was James Gunn, and the Bible was the Guardians of the Galaxy duology, you know?
Indeed.
This is the second Marvel Studios special presentation, yes?
This is the second following Daredevil by Night, Werewolf by Night.
So I think they're 2 for 2 on these, personally.
I agree.
And this is spoiler filled. It's only like a 45-minute special. If you haven't watched it yet, throw it on. Maybe throw this on after while you're getting prepped for Christmas, or if you're just not celebrating, if you want to listen to the episode, by all means. But overall, Jack, what did you think of this? We're both fans of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you have a good time? How does this rank, I guess, with the last time you saw the characters and in your holiday seasonal rotation? We can answer that question maybe at the end if this is going to become a regular viewing for you. But
Sure. Yeah. Overall, really, really enjoyed it. I've actually seen it 3 times now.
whoa.
Yeah, it's very digestible. I saw it for the first time with my girlfriend, and then I saw it by myself again, and then I saw it for the 3rd time for this review. And it's just a really fun, enjoyable time, and it uses its time very well. I don't feel like there are points, because it's 45 minutes, like you said, there aren't any points that drag. There aren't any points where I feel like, oh, we could have explored this more. It is just like the fun TV holiday special that it is supposed to be, and it nails that quite well. And it's great to see that interstitial of the Guardians between the end of Avengers Endgame and Guardians 3. So we learn like a little bit more about the Guardians. We have that plot point with Mantis and Peter being siblings. So it's really great to see that. So yeah, all around, great time. What about you?
Yeah, I'll co-sign it. I had a blast with this. It was very cute. I went in this expecting it to just be fluff, and it was fluff with heart, you know, and that's, I think, a lot of the Guardians' sentiment over all of their projects they show up in. Even in Thor: Love and Thunder, I feel like they had maybe kind of the most resonating bit, you know, when he's like talking about how Peter's talking about how he feels about the team as a family.
Can I tell you, I forgot they appeared in that movie?
I had a feeling. But yeah, I had fun with it. It did remind me of, you know, the holiday episodes of shows that I like, you know, like there's some great episodes of Community, and The Office had a couple good Christmas episodes. Are there any highlights? I liked that 70s show. They did some fun Christmas episodes.
Mm-hmm. I always watch the Batman the Animated Series Christmas episode. Kind of the Joker getting into some hijinks. I think that's where the song comes from.
It
Robin laid an
is.
egg, that sort of deal. I think that's where that comes from.
I believe so too. Which this threw me for a loop. So the other day, this is tangential because it is still Christmas specials. I watched this I think 3 nights ago as of recording this, and last night I watched. I went around with my girlfriend. We drove around looking at Christmas lights. And then we came back and we watched whatever these specials were on TV, being Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and then Santa Claus is Coming to Town. But I've never considered this, Jack. And I don't know what happened to my brain that made this happen, but I was watching Rudolph, and it's nearing the end of the movie, and Santa goes over to Rudolph, and he's like, "Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?" And then I was like, that feels so weird and like out of place. And then I was like, I wonder, like, it feels like, you know how Marvel will put pauses now in their movies because they know people are screaming.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like that kind of like, it felt like that, like Santa doesn't speak like that for the entire movie. So then I was like, is he quoting the song and they put that in there as like a, oh, they're gonna love this sort of thing?
Yeah.
Or was the song written after the fact? But I was like, I don't think that's it, because the way he's saying it sounds like he's like, ah, wink, wink. And apparently, this song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, came out 30 years before that animated special.
Yeah, so the animated special is paying tribute to that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just never realized that. I thought they dropped at the same time, if I'm being real.
It for something that old, it's hard, and both of those are very old at this point.
Yeah.
So they feel like they're probably of the same time.
Yeah.
But I always just assumed that song was like, I assumed that song was like the where we get Rudolph from.
Okay.
The idea of Rudolph.
I mean, you're correct. You'd be correct in that assumption. It was just, that was like the 1930s, and then this animated thing was the 1960s.
Right.
So, and then when Santa Claus was Coming to Town was on after, and then I was like, okay, well, this one was clearly based off the song. But
Yes.
it felt more
Man,
natural there.
those are some acid trips.
Yeah, dude. Especially the Santa Claus is Coming to Town. There's this weird like 70s psychedelic thing when his wife is like singing one of those songs. Anyway, bringing it back to Guardians, they wrote an original Christmas song for this
Two.
one. Two, yeah. What do you think of them?
Dude, that's my favorite part about this. I love both of those songs. And I've been listening to them regularly since this came out. At first, like, they kind of just washed over me. But they really stuck in my ear afterwards. The opening, what is it, old? Oh, God, now I'm forgetting the name. Is it the old 86s?
I think so. I have not listened to them on Spotify yet because I'm in a similar place where I listened to it in the movie and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. But I had like on the re-listen, I'm sure I'll join you.
Yes, it is the old 97s.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, their first one, I don't know what Christmas is, just really funny. And Chris Pratt like playing off of it throughout the song is like, nope, that's not right. Or at points being like, that's a good question. That's really funny. And having Kevin Bacon perform with them at the end was really cool. Two different like vibes to those songs, and it was nice that they could fit them in.
I agree. It was very fun. I'm also glad that we got a spotlight on Mantis and Drax as the driving force behind this, right? Mantis incentivized because of a relationship to Peter, which, correct me, was that just, I thought that was like low-key confirmed because of the mural in Guardians 2, right? Where he's like, he goes like all over the Mantis lady with, and they're holding a baby.
I guess I didn't put that together.
Okay.
But I'm sure that was there to be like, hey, if you like pick up on this, that's confirmation. But this was definitely, the first solid confirmation.
But I do think it was nice to give her and Drax the spotlight because, I think comedically they both have their moments in what we've seen them in so far, but it always seems to fall towards like Rocket and Groot, and then Peter gets some funny stuff. And there's that really great scene, the two of them having Guardians 2, where like Mantis touches Drax and like feels all of his pain. So putting them here and then like letting them riff off each other and trying to do something good for their friend, I thought was a good setup for this, and I was into the vibe.
That's probably my one thing I didn't love. I
Okay.
didn't. They're. I like them in support, but this was definitely them on the main stage, and I feel like their comedies feels a little forced at times.
Sure.
So some stuff hit for me, some stuff didn't. Um, but again, it doesn't last long enough for it to feel too exhausting, and we get new stuff pretty soon after that. So
Yeah, definitely. Because there's also a few callbacks to other jokes that are related to the Guardians, right? Where Bucky, or no, sorry, Rocket gets Bucky's arm. That's a fun little
that was great.
fan service thing. And there's also Yondu callbacks, which I liked. I didn't expect that. The sort of classically drawn like 50s 40s the snowman style art animation of young Peter, Kraglin, and Yondu celebrating Christmas.
Yeah, that was such a fun surprise, and that being at the very beginning of the holiday special, being like, "Whoa, I did not expect this." It was cool.
Yeah, and then for like the briefest moment at the beginning, I was like, "This isn't it, right? Like it's not animated like this." I feel like I would have known that. But that sequence just came to mind because you talked about jokes that were beaten to death, and in the second time we cut to that, we see Yondu looking in the trash and finding his gift. There is a present issued to, I guess, Taserface in the trash. I don't know if you saw
Yes.
that, but
Glad he's in the trash.
oh yeah, they know. But what did you think of Kevin Bacon's implementation into this?
I loved it. It's funny that he fully embraced that. Like, just a joke that has been a running gag for the past few movies that is like, I was gonna say inconsequential, but he literally, Peter Quill literally does a dance off to save the universe. So it feels pretty consequential, his tie to Peter Quill. So it's really nice to actually see him do it, and I don't know, it kind of just seems like he had a really fun time doing it. So great to see that.
Yeah, because I never thought of it that way. Like, I know in Infinity War, like, I've recognized it's like, oh, yeah, he danced and then that saved the day. But, like, having it laid out like that, being like, hey, no, he was inspired by you in that movie and you indirectly saved the universe. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, that is weird. Because I guess I feel like I've never just thought of Kevin Bacon, the actor, existing in the MCU, even though
Yeah.
he gets referenced all the time. But yeah, that was definitely a fun little connection and calling it back to the first movie there. But
And I didn't realize like he was a singer.
Kayla asked me the same thing, like when that was going. She's like, "Kevin Bacon sings." I was like, "I guess."
I think everyone learned that. I guess he does have music already out, so he's been doing it for a bit. So that was a fun little surprise as well.
Yeah. I think there were a couple other things in this movie or in this special that were working to set up Guardians 3 so they can get away with not having to do some exposition in Guardians 3. One of them, like you said, I think having that connection between Peter and Mantis in case either are in peril, it adds to the stakes. Also, Cosmo, the Russian space dog.
Right.
I feel like Cosmo is going to be probably very important in Guardians 3, especially because the other lore drop, the Guardians bought Nowhere. They own it.
Yeah, that was fun to see, and definitely out of nowhere. Excuse the pun.
I missed that.
Didn't even intend for that. But yeah, that was very interesting to see. I'm curious where the collector is. Did they just not want to pay Benicio del Toro?
Probably.
Potentially. So I'm sure we'll hear more about him later. But yeah, that's cool that they have a base of operations now for the Guardians and the Ravagers. I would assume.
Yeah, because I remember I have I think it's a Brian Michael Bendis Guardians comic. I bought it like after I saw the first movie, and in that I believe, and I think the game does this also. Cosmo is like the orchestrator of Nowhere, and Nowhere acts as like a hub for the Guardians and like other Space Ranger esque characters. So I could see that being something in 3. I could also see it be like off screen. Adam Warlock blew up Nowhere, the thing we
Right.
bought, you know. So I don't know, but who voiced Cosmo? I feel like I saw somewhere it was the same actress who played Ratcatcher in Suicide Squad,
I think it was. I'll
which is
confirm
cool.
that.
Also, did you catch the Suicide Squad nod in here?
No, what was it?
So when Mantis gets the celebrity house tour pamphlet, and they do the cutaway to show them traveling to Kevin Bacon's house, and they show like little pop-ups of different celebrity profiles. There is John Cena, Margot Robbie, and I think one other person who was in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So
Good for them.
yeah, I was like, oh, James Gunn, you can't wait to get out of there, huh?
That's a good little. That's a good little Easter egg there.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Maria Bakalova, who I believe she looks really different in her Wikipedia photo.
Okay.
So I want to confirm this. That okay, I don't think she was Ratcatcher.
No, Ratcatcher was Danielle Melchior, I think.
Yeah. Was
So
she in that? Was Ratcatcher in this?
I don't think so.
You were
I
thinking
just
she was Cosmo?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought
Okay.
Cosmo, because I feel like I saw James Gunn post about somebody he worked with in the past, also like coming in for this.
Yeah, I would have to confirm, like, what? Because I know people are like, oh, yeah, she was from this thing. And I was like, oh, I
Hmm.
haven't seen that thing.
Was it Yellow Jackets? I just looked at something and it looked like it might have been that. I didn't watch that, but
I don't think so. She's in The Honeymoon, The Bubble, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. That might be it. Why
oh
do
yeah,
Why do women cry? Oh, it was the Borat sequel. That's what she's from.
I didn't see that. Did you?
No. Everyone was like, oh, she's in the Borat sequel. And I was like, cool, I'll never see it.
Nice. Well, are there any other standouts for you from this special? We did get a nice resolution with Peter, and they showed the little set they had there. I noticed the volume now more than ever here.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense though. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere has that kind of vibe already, so it didn't feel too in your face. And when they're on Earth, it actually feels like they're out and about places. So that was fine.
Yeah. I am a little concerned because I know the volume is going to be used for Guardians 3, and I imagine they filmed this during that. It just had like a weird like fisheye thing going on
Sure.
kind of in some of those shots, which to me like that stood out more than it did in Love and Thunder, which like I think looks worse, but I whatever effect they had going on here made me notice it actually when I was watching it. But
I don't think we've quite caught up on Andor's hopefully like impactfulness to the rest of Disney Plus shows and like projects itself, because that is like completely volumeless and for the most part. And yeah, I think we're probably still with some volume projects coming up soon with Guardians 3.
yeah, so I don't know what beyond that. I imagine a lot of things beyond that for Marvel, but that was I think my only detractor here was I was like ugh when they showed some of those early scenes, but
Sure.
thankfully most of it took place on Earth, and I don't think they used the volume for Earth. I think that was just a city street and a driveway, but.
Yep.
Yeah, good time. Will this be in your rotation of holiday specials every Christmas season?
I could see it being added there. It's so short and inoffensive that it's just so easy to put on. I like Die Hard as well. That's in my rotation. Like I said, the Batman animated series episode I enjoy. I don't have too big a rotation, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's either this year or last year was the first year the house cut cable, and like that was a huge bummer because in college I watched Christmas Vacation, the National Lampoon Christmas Vacation, like at least 6 times a season because I just throw it on and it's like always on TV. But yeah, it's mostly like, oh, I'll binge a couple of like the That 70 Show ones or the Community ones, or movie wise, it's usually at least one of those animated things, and then I don't know, like Elf or
Sure.
Home Alone. Home Alone gets a lot of viewings.
Home Alone's great. Home Alone 2 I prefer, believe it or not.
I think they both are great, personally.
I agree.
Big fan of both. But I think that's probably going to wrap up this holiday special, Jack. Any final words on this special or the year or the upcoming year? Happy New Year, everybody. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll say the one thing I didn't mention aside from the original music was just the music that they had playing on in the background. A lot of it was like weird Christmas music that you wouldn't expect. Like they had Julian Casablancas of the Strokes. They had Smashing Pumpkins. Like just weird music you wouldn't really expect with a Christmas episode. So that was really
Christmas
cool.
rapping. Glad that was in there. I love that song. It's so stupid, but I love it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. What about you?
Yeah. No, yeah. I think that wraps it up for 2022. So, Jack, where can the agents of Excelsior find you?
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, to this year of Excelsior. It's been a very strange year for Marvel's Avengers and Phase 4 of the MCU as well. But appreciate you listening. You can find me on Twitter at FascinatedJack. What about you, Christian?
Sure, you can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Chun2D2. You can find the show on Twitter at ExcelsiorJC. You can find it uploaded on YouTube, youtube.com/joyclicks. Look at the Excelsior playlist. It will be there every weekend, but not for a little bit because we are taking a off week for the holidays. We will be back in 2023 with another episode of the show. Hopefully some more Marvel's Avengers news. If nothing is happening, I will make sure to plan a very fun topic for the return episode. But yes, appreciate all the agents of Excelsiors. Hope you have a safe, happy holiday season and a happy, extra safe New Year. New Year's Eve is the one that you got to worry about. But you can find us also on podcast services. Just look up JoyClicks, Excelsior, Avengers Podcast. You know the deal. And rating and reviewing is the best way to help us out because it's free. And it takes a second. But that's it for 2022. We'll be back in 2023 with loads of new Marvel stuff to cover. Probably not so much in Avengers. But until then, Excelsior.